Hi, good morning, and welcome to the Comics Experience Graphic Novel of the Month Club, the Kids Edition, my favorite show, always my favorite show, because kids are the future. We've got a really, really good book for you this month with a team that has been here before, but we will talk about that in a moment. The book is Agent Cupcake, and we are joined here by Lauren Davis, Mel Hilario, and Katie Longua. Is it Longua? Did I get that right? Way. There you go. Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
I apologize.
No worries.
Welcome back to all of you. You guys all came in for Debbie and Pearl, Digital Detective, which I want to say was a full 10 years ago. Maybe it was only 9 years.
Oh my God. 2019.
Yes.
Maybe 7?
Yeah, not
Okay.
yet.
It wasn't the first year. Okay, I thought maybe it was the first year of the club.
Yeah.
But
It
still,
feels
it's been a while.
like 100 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah, a very different environment too.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's great to see you all again. I'm going to ask you a question that you already answered once, but this is how we do this show. And the question it's the same first question I ask everybody on the show, and it's why comics? Of all the different ways you can express yourselves and all the ways you do express yourselves too, what is it about comics that really speaks to you, that lights up your heart, that just makes you go, oh, this is the greatest medium in the world? I'd love to hear your answers individually.
So I grew up reading comics and I always loved them a lot. And I tried making them myself on several occasions, but I never made it very far until I discovered mini comics, where you make your own small comics and photocopy them. And the idea that without like barely any resources, I could make my own comics and give them out to all my friends and trade and stuff. That's what really, really got me into comics.
I always really loved the way that comics sort of like, it's like a person's brain on paper. And for some reason, it's always clicked for me a little bit more in that way than prose has. I mean, prose is cool and I love reading and writing prose. But there's just something about the way that comics just like captures people's personalities in just like this really immediate kind of way.
Well, I'm actually the comics baby of the group, and my training is in prose, but I'm a very visual writer. So I found it just really thrilling to see stories come to life on paper, and also the collaboration with artists and other writers. It's really, it makes storytelling just a lot more fun.
Yeah, that's great. So as I noted, this is not the first time you guys worked together. What brought the three of you together in the first place?
So we actually, we worked together, at a company together. So, we were all like employed by the same company. And, when we were writing Debbie and Pearl, that was actually a book that we were assigned to write at our
Our job, believe it or not.
And then, the three of us just like really clicked together, on that project. And we'd done some smaller projects together before. But when that job ended, we ended up just deciding that we really liked working together and we really wanted to stay together as a team and keep making comics together.
Oh, that's fantastic. It's been 7 years, let's call it, since the last book. Did it take you 7 years to come up with the next book, or was it COVID that got in the way? Like what happened there?
I can't remember now.
It was everything. Also the fact that we just have like a million ideas going at all times. So Agent Cupcake is the one that made it to the end, but there are like 5 or 6 other books that we had like rolling along, thinking about, talking about. And then, COVID definitely slowed things down, but also awesome life stuff too. Not all bad.
Yeah. You have an ongoing vault of ideas. So there's it's just a matter of when we can focus on what project, I think, too.
Yeah. And it takes a long time to make comics.
It does.
This too. This is very true.
Yeah.
Debbie and Pearl, like I said, we were doing it at our day job, and now we have separate day jobs.
Yeah.
And so we had to be making this sort of in the background of our lives. But it's also not the only project that we've been working on. We also have been making order comics together.
Mm-hmm.
Like minis or
We had an SF Arts Commission project that we did involved actually very large scale versions of our comics on mini.
The opposite of minis.
The opposite of mini, exactly. Maxi. The Maxi
giant poster size comics for bus stops.
Nice.
And then we also did some fun work for the Nib, so more like news focused and like nonfiction.
We were in some
That's very cool.
anthologies as well.
That's very cool.
So that has been really fun. Yeah.
Yeah, in at least the neighborhoods where I go and come from, they don't have the big comics programs on those bus stops. All I ever see is AI companies advertising right now.
No.
It's so horrifying. Gosh.
I know.
Yeah, fire everybody. I mean, like literally.
All right.
Posters that say "fire people." You know, like what?
I need some more coffee.
Surreal moment.
Yeah, where we're living in this weird split now, where a lot of things are going very strange because of AI, and it's happening in San Francisco. I think faster than any place else. You know?
Yeah, it makes San Francisco a very surreal place to be.
Yeah, we have big feelings about that. Yeah.
There is like a slight rage every time we drive through San Francisco.
I know.
But that's very cool that you guys did you did those. I've seen, who did I see? I think Justin Hall was who I saw this year. Who's great.
He got them started.
Yeah, we love Justin.
And then they did 2 years or 3 years worth of.
They did a few years of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a cool,
all different
project.
cartoonists.
Yeah. I hope that continues now that they're closing CCA.
I don't know, actually.
So too. I think everything is so up in the air.
Yeah. And also they were on paper, and they were switching the billboards to digital now, which is right. And a lot of how that project works with the San Francisco Arts Commission.
Yeah. Well, and I think this is a problem for those comics because, you know, the digital billboards like turn every 30 seconds or something like that. And it's really hard to read anything on that kind of environment, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the thing with the large format comics was they were so large that we could put a lot on those posters.
Yeah. One of our most thrilling moments was actually catching people reading it. We were like off in the corner going, they're reading the poster. You're not going to get that now with a 30-second revolving screen, right? So too bad.
If one of you gets a chance, maybe send us a copy of the thing and we can add it to the video. I'm pretty sure we can.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
We took a bunch of silly pictures with them. So
yes. That's right. We did.
Yeah. Very good. So I guess, where did Agent Cupcake come from?
I feel like it was
like mostly you two.
We like to play around on Slack and like on our text messages and say like, wouldn't it be funny or would it be cool if we did this? And then we just kind of riff off each other, which is part of the joy of our collaboration. I feel like is
I almost think you came up with the name first. I want to say there was just one day you were like, isn't Agent Cupcake a really silly name for a character?
Yeah, maybe. And I feel like maybe you said, let's make her a unicorn. I can't remember now.
No, that was you guys. Because you were always coming up with stuff for me to draw.
Yeah,
it was true.
It was always the Unicorn Spy. It was always named Agent.
Yeah, we do. We can generate ideas based on what we know Katie would like to draw. And that really is I always try to make Lauren laugh. I mean, we were just trying to like, we're just trying to please each other and make each other like excited about the work, and here we go in this like cycle of like comics making.
But yeah,
I feel
we
like
have a lot of. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say the universe of the book and the kind of like the way the story is set up feels very Men in Black, but with
Yeah.
fantasy creatures.
Yes.
And that was one of my favorite movies growing up, so I think that like my love of working on this comic is definitely related to these like nostalgic memories.
That's fantastic. How about the original kernel of the idea, though?
I don't know. I think it was because when we'd had the previous job, there'd been like a lot of these like we were always trying to come up with these like educational toy products. And so in our brains we were always kind of trying to think of like mascots for those characters. And so like even later we were still sort of thinking like in that kind of brain space where we were like, wouldn't this be a funny mascot for like a line of spy toys? Even though we were not working for a toy company anymore.
Okay.
And I don't know. I think it was always like that. I do remember like at some point emailing you guys like a really silly scene where like a unicorn spy like rescues another unicorn and like has a really dramatic monologue.
I feel like that sounds right.
Yeah, which definitely never made it into the book and was never like a serious like contender for anything. But I was just like, it was just like, I think like a late night, just like, wouldn't this be funny? Having this like unicorn in a trench coat, like making dramatic speeches.
Yeah. Narrative driven education is kind of our sweet spot. Like I think teaching kind of subtly, sneakily via a story seems to be where we live, both for children and adults. And I think we're okay with that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's a neat approach to do it too. It's certainly what I loved about Debbie and Pearl was that it taught me a bunch about programming that I didn't know,
I know
it's like we didn't know actually. I certainly didn't know much at all. Sometimes we learn through the process of writing and creation. Yeah. And we did that too. We did quite a bit of research for Agent Cupcake. Laura and I were actually on a week-long retreat, just reading books and watching movies, and then we come back and we mix it up back in the pot of storytelling. But yeah, so a lot. Go ahead. No,
I was
go ahead.
excited about the idea of spycraft too, because I grew up in the 90s where there was a big like spy stuff for kids. There was like Harriet the Spy. There was a lot of toys coming out and stuff. So I was like, oh, maybe it is a good time for this to like have a resurgence, because I remember it being very fun.
Very
a lot
so.
of Inspector Gadget.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Little Carmen Sandiego.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So how long did it take you to finally decide that Agent Cupcake was the one of the 5 or 6 or 7 ideas that you had that was, this is the one that has the best potential?
We did not decide that. We were talking to our agent, and we were talking to a bunch of editors, and we basically like I think there were 3 pitches that we had, and we sent them out, and we were basically told like Agent Cupcake was the one that people were most interested in, and so that was the one we ended up developing.
Okay. Was that were you happy with that decision?
Yes.
We were like anything that we love all our babies, so we were happy to follow through with the unicorns.
Yeah, definitely when I was at CCA, they always told us never pitch anything that you're not willing to work on, that you're not in love with.
That's good advice.
People always say
it always gets picked.
Yeah.
So never pitch an idea you hate.
Wow.
Well, again, I mean, to get back to the point you made earlier, especially with comics, right? Because comics take so long to do, and if you end up with an idea that you didn't like, you'll be living with that idea for many, many years.
Yeah. Looking at a lot of reference for, horse jewelry and
Yeah, I feel
Right.
really happy that we ended up with this one.
Yeah.
Just thinking of all of the fun things that I ended up drawing that
Yeah.
I never expected to.
Yeah. And so, in terms of breaking the story and getting the script right, is it just Lauren and Mel who are doing that, or Katie, are you also involved in sort of the story part?
Absolutely, I would say she is. I mean, sorry, Kate, go ahead.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think that's one of the things that makes our process really fun and really works for me as the artist is that, especially at the beginning, like I'm there all the time, we're throwing ideas out, and I'll usually go to my like drawing desk and work on like character designs as Lauren and Mel start to develop the story more. But we still go back and forth a lot, and I really like that they give me a lot of time to have input and like veto things if I'm like, that I can't draw that.
We still make
Although
you draw
I will put
We were just
I'll put
talking
up
about that.
I'll put up with a lot of difficult drawing requests because I like a good challenge.
We had, I think, over our Slack channel, we were talking about, like, we just had for another comic a setting of a theater with like lots of seats. Like, sorry, Katie, it's a robot factory, a warehouse, and
A
now a
lot of
theater.
crowd scenes,
Yeah,
a lot of
we didn't mean to
shouts.
do this to you. We are apologies.
Yeah, I would say sometimes Katie will put in requests where she'll say like, I would really like to draw X, and so can you please include X in the story? And so we always try to do that. But also because Katie is doing designs like so early on in the process, it really has a major impact on how we script. So we have a character in Agent Cupcake, Larry, and Larry is a griffin. And the griffin that was in my brain and the griffin that was in Katie's brain were extremely different. And so when Katie drew this character, he's like an owl and he's got a necktie and he's adorable. And I think that just like really, like, I don't know, I can't speak for Mal, but like for me, like as we started to like develop the voice for Larry and like his role within the story, was definitely like very much changed by that design.
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to dovetail on that because I can hear Larry's voice. Like when I'm casting the actor, what does he say? How does he speak? I totally agree with that.
And also like in terms of breaking script, our editor has a lot to do with that. So
great editor, best.
Great, but Oni
yes.
did a lot of work making the script much better.
Yes. Yes.
Who was your editor?
Oh, Grace Bornhoft.
Bornhoft, yeah.
Yes.
Nice. Very good. So did you submitted a full script and then it came back with notes? Is that the way that it worked in this case?
Yes. So we'd outlined it in the pitch. And the outline was pretty similar to the final, I think. I mean, there were definitely some changes. But yeah, we went through a couple of drafts of the script and then we sent it to Grace. And she came back with a bunch of notes and we just went back and forth a few times on the script. We script in Google Docs. And so it's very easy to just have a very like organic process where it's just like there are a bunch of notes along the side and then we have discussions in the side about the notes. And so everything is sort of happening in like a weird kind of simultaneous way.
Do you think that the ending was maybe the biggest change?
I think the ending was certainly the biggest change. Grace was the one who came up with the very end ending, which was great. She also did a lot of work sort of tying like the initial parts about paleontology to like the rest of the story.
Yes.
And so she encouraged that to be like a little bit more strongly tied together, which I think worked a lot better in the end.
Yeah. She's always spot on. She was our editor for Debbie and Pearl too. I just didn't want to mess up her name on camera. I knew her last name.
Yeah.
We all know who she is.
Yeah.
She's lovely.
Also,
she's wonderful.
She got married and her last name changed.
That's right. So hence
in our work
the
process.
confusion.
Yeah,
Yes, I've
that's
only
part
seen the
why.
name. I actually haven't actually said it out loud until this very
Yeah.
moment. So sorry, Grace.
That's great that she's still there too, because Oni has
Yeah.
gone through multiple personnel changes over the last 7 years. I think that they're on their third, I think.
Yeah, so Grace was at Lion Forge. And so then when Lion Forge was acquired by Oni, she was able to stay on because she's just that good. She is a great
the other way around.
What was that, Katie?
Did Lionforge acquire Oni the other way around?
It was the other way around, yeah.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had it backwards. Thank you.
It's early on a Sunday. We're
All good.
Well, I think I was confused because it used to be
Carousel
Lion Forge and Oni, and now it's just Oni on the book.
Yeah,
that's right.
So
Right.
Yeah, which makes sense because Oni is the more established publisher. But yeah, you were right. It was Lion Forge that acquired Oni.
The exciting part for us, though, was that Grace stayed along the whole way, and
we were relieved.
She's been so awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. No, that's really swell. So from the moment that you pitched it to I guess to when Katie started drawing, how much time was there between those kind of two markers?
Gosh, I don't actually. Katie, you would have a better sense than I would, but
I feel like it was
we started the pitching process. I think it was summer of 2021.
That sounds right. Yes, because it was after the pandemic started, and I don't know, maybe.
When did you start drawing, Katie?
Yeah, I mean, Katie also does good character designs. Like, well, let me just try. What would this look like? So, sometimes the process starts very,
I think it took like a year
quickly. Yeah.
Before I was drawing.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. That's in the script, maybe
from when we were pitching.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds right to me because I do remember writing in the winter.
In Oregon, in the snow, in Oregon.
Yeah,
that's right.
Because also, there's so much other stuff that's going on behind the scenes that doesn't involve us, just on the publishing side of things. Is something I've learned through a lot of different projects, is that publishing moves very slowly until suddenly everything's going and it needs to be done now.
Yeah, well, that was, I guess, kind of my follow-up question was, how long did you have, Katie, to draw the whole book?
Luckily they were really flexible, because I have a day job. So I think the original schedule, it was supposed to be done in, let me think about this, late 2024, and it slid a little bit. It was done in February 2025. So I feel like not too bad for me.
Yeah.
Not too bad for comics.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And then there's that.
But that would have been, I'm trying to remember when I seriously started drawing. It was probably a couple of years.
One thing that I will say was very helpful for us on this book as we were scripting was that Katie put a page count on us like pretty early on in the process, and was like, because she knows what her work schedule is like and how long it takes for her to draw, and so she told us like the book cannot be longer than this, and that was very, very helpful for us to know going in, so that we could have a sense of like how long scenes could be, and how much story we could pack into the book. And just having that target like really early on was very helpful. So if people are working together in teams, I think that is a great thing to do, is to put a page limit on your writer.
And just communication. Katie is super organized, and please talk to each other all the time.
I mean, I think typically the publisher is also putting a page count on you as well. And
It was in our
usual
pitch.
circumstance.
Yeah.
Because there's only, like you can't say, okay, it's going to be a 180-page book, and then you hand them 350 pages.
Oh,
Like, no, we're not budgeted to
yeah,
print
yes,
that.
we would not. We would never.
Yeah, I want to say they gave us a range based on like what the cost of the book would be to the consumer. So like you could go over this, but then we don't think it would be the cost would be too high. So think about that's what I liked about working with Grace and with Oni too, is a lot of things they would say like, well, you could do this, but then give us a suggestion. So I appreciate the advice, but not the like strict rules.
Yeah, well, that $15 price point is kind of the magic price point for a kid's book too.
Huh.
You kind of can't go much over that.
Right.
Parents start kind of rolling their eyes, past that point. I have found, and it stays pretty consistent over the years too, because as I say, we've been doing this for 10 years now.
Congrats.
Yeah, I know, right? Just the clubs. I mean, the store's been around for 37 years, but we haven't had to have a price increase in that time, because the price of children's books has remained fairly consistent over those 10 years, which suggests to me that the whole world knows that that's the magic price point as well. When you're I guess, and this is always a big question for me, when you've got two writers on a project, how do you decide who gets to write what? You know what I mean, right? Because this seems like it could be contentious.
We get this question a lot, and go ahead, Lauren.
So it turns out that Mel and I have a very natural breakdown in terms of how we work. And so I'm a very anxious person, and my anxiety means that I'm just like, I need everything to be structured, and so I'm gonna just sit down and nail down the structure. And so I sit down and I'm like, okay, this happens on this page, and this happens on this page, and this happens on this page. And so I do like a version of the script where we just like, it's kind of like it's a panel by panel, page by page breakdown. Which is flexible. Katie also makes changes as she's drawing. But a lot of times, I would pretty much consider like all the dialogue at that point placeholders. And Mel and I've already outlined everything. So like we have an outline. So the outline is already set. Sometimes I'll make changes as I'm going, but like I tell everybody that I'm making those changes as I go. So it's not a surprise. And then a lot of times I'll put in the dialogue like something funny.
Insert pun here. Yeah.
Pun here. I've written insert pun here.
Yeah.
And so like I'm not super stressed about like the dialogue being good. And so Mel will come in, and sometimes she'll come in and she'll make some like structural changes, but again, she'll let me know that she's making those structural changes.
Of course.
She's going through and she's like writing sparkling dialogue and figuring out the voices for all of the characters. And so we'll do like a little bit of back and forth after that, but we have a pretty like natural separation in terms of how we work. So it works pretty well. And sometimes like Mel will suggest a change and I'll be like, I don't want to do that. I get really grumpy. And then like 2 hours later, I'm like, no, wait, you're right. That's what you said.
So I would have
Katie witnesses this happen in Slack or in the and then 2 hours later, I'm like, no, you were totally right. Thank you for making that suggestion.
First of all, Lauren does not get that grumpy. That is a total exaggeration of her actual gestures, her facial expressions. That is absolutely correct. I love it, because then what I look at is like, I have a whole, basically a skeleton to work with, and I can just come in and like, it's the hardest thing for me is getting that first layer down as a writer when I was doing a lot of my own work. And so I'm like, oh my God, is there a draft? This is amazing. This is like a dream. And then we can go back and forth. And again, I said, like, if I can just make Lauren and Katie laugh, my job is done here. So yeah, that is the fun part for me, is the voices and the talking about, you know, the inner characters. And then we all have a conversation about, what do you think Miguel is going through right now? And why was this, you know, what would happen right here if they were at the pizza place and he runs into a friend. So those are all, you know, that's kind of like part of after you get the skeleton of the story down, which I really think is the heavy lifting, Lauren, in a lot of ways. So thank you. Publicly, let me say thank you. The really fun part is everything else. Well, also the heavy lifting is actually the drawing. Sorry, Katie. That's very heavy lifting.
Absolutely true.
I wish that on myself. Never. I could never. Katie is amazing.
Well, kind of as you noted, it's very easy to go, okay, we're going to set this in a theater, and then
we've already
got to go and draw it, right?
We've already promised her a free meal
very
out.
Easy to type the words. It's in a theater.
So for that particular project, I was doing the color flatting. And so I got to like feel like a tiny bit of the punishment that
oh no, there's so many things here, so many colors.
Oh my god, the armrests have to be a different color than the chairs.
Yeah. Next time they sit on beanbags, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do anything with multiple parts. It's going to be a picnic.
It's an interesting way to work, though, with one person doing sort of the structure part and then the other person doing dialogue and things like that. Lauren, do you ever like wish that you could be doing more of the dialogue kind of stuff? Or
I do some of the dialogue. It's not that I do zero dialogue.
No, I wasn't.
I don't keep her out of there.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like, there are some times when I'm like, I feel really attached to this line, and like, these are my reasons for being really attached to that line. So we'll have that conversation. Yeah, but I also just like, I don't want to fight what we're naturally good at it, you know. Also, like, a lot of times, Mel will, she'll talk about, like, when we were working on Debbie and Pearl, like, she would talk a lot about, like, oh, the character is like this, and she makes all these puns, and so like I also kind of have like a template to work with. And so like sometimes I'm sort of following like Mel's template for like how a character operates, but then sometimes she'll just like come on and like season.
Very kind. Very kind. I feel we never push each other out of anything. I feel like we're very much like in the kitchen together. Like, yes, sometimes someone has to do chopping over there and someone gets to actually stir the pot, but it's like we're all kind of like in this like dance together, if that is a good analogy. Like, I don't ever feel like I
think
hope
it's
I
good.
never push anybody out.
They're also like, this is an easy way to describe our process, but there isn't really, I think, a firm divide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than that, I can't draw at all, so I don't contribute to that. I do make visual like requests. That's about all.
You guys have drawn me a thumbnail before.
Yeah.
Yes, I have. Very
it was
crude.
Delightful.
Thank you, Katie.
That's what a thumbnail is. It's a crude drawing.
That's true. Okay, so I can do that.
Are they thumbnails in terms of here's how we see the panels breaking down on the page, or is it like an individual character?
This was for like a panel layout.
That makes sense. Yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah.
It's very. They had this concept that the side of a moving vehicle was going to be a set of panels. And I could not visually understand what was happening.
Yeah, so Mel and I would be in person, and we would be talking through it and like sketching it out on a piece of paper, and then we'd take a photograph of that and send it to Katie.
Yeah, and we're competent. Like, Lauren can actually draw. And then we get it. We have a good. We communicated visually that day, and that worked out.
It was
usually we don't.
Helpful.
Yeah, I mean, usually we don't do panel layouts because
absolutely not.
Extremely good at panel layouts.
Yeah.
So,
if anything, it's like, here's what we want. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
something
ahead.
I think it's probably very helpful for the writers to see if things are possible, right?
Yes,
You know,
that was basically it.
you have an idea in
Yeah.
your head and you can picture it in your brain,
Right.
but like, does it actually work as a sequence? You know, I remember Neil Gaiman talking about this, that he learned very early on that that he couldn't go. So panel one, there's like an army coming down the hill, and like, because you know you have to have space to show an
Right,
army
right,
coming down the hill,
right.
and that helped him figure out, oh, you've got to put that here to make the page work. You know, even though
Yeah.
you let the actual artist do the actual drawing, but to go, is this thing in my brain? Can it exist
Right.
on the page?
Yeah. Is it a dream,
Yeah.
fantasy, or is it real? Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
I have a rule when I'm doing the skeleton script that like I have to be able to like picture in my head how it would
Yeah.
work on the page.
Yeah.
But then Katie always comes up with something completely different. So
And usually better for all of us. Yeah.
yeah, definitely better for
Often,
all of
almost
us.
always. 99
There's
times out of 100.
Something I so appreciate about our process is that also Mel and Lauren aren't like super precious about the script. So they don't mind if I change things. And I think it's gotten to the point almost where I'll just like move things around and change things and then be like, oh, I did this.
And we're like, that's
And I
great.
think most of the
Perfect.
time they're like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I love feeling so comfortable to be able to do that.
yeah. I mean, as long as it's not like a misunderstanding or a miscommunication between
Right.
us, we're
Yeah.
just like, well, yeah, that works better.
Yeah.
You are the person who has to draw it. You probably
Yes.
have a better side of,
Right.
oh, we should just pull like this thing out into a separate panel.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
often
combining
do you-
panels or...
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no worries. I was just gonna say, like, especially when, like, combining panels or separating them into multiple panels.
Yeah, and so I guess my question, Katie, is how much are you thinking about sort of the internal rhythm of the page as opposed to the information that needs to be on the page, if you sort of understand the distinction that I'm making there, right? Like, as a
Yeah.
writer, you can go, okay, I need to have X, Y, and Z happen, but as a comic storyteller, the flow has got to be clear from panel to panel about what's happening. And, you know, you want, hopefully at the end of the page, you want there to be something compelling that makes the audience go, what's on the next page? Right?
Yeah. As an artist, definitely that part is what's most interesting to me, like successfully creating like a really appealing flow and an exciting moment to turn the page is so inspiring to me. I'm always thinking about it. And a lot of the challenge comes in how to make it work, especially when there's like a lot of story happening, and working with the script to make sure that I can also have these like appealing artistic moments. And part of that is being able to slide things around on the page without Mel and Lauren worrying. Like sometimes also I will slide like the last panel onto the next page, or move them around a bit because I'm like, oh, if we ended at this moment, it would be more exciting for the page turn. So that's really fun. Oh, I forget what else I was going to say about it.
You're also like seeing physically like where the dialogue ends up, and so sometimes also just like visually, like as you're laying that out, sometimes you see like this is not working.
Yeah.
And so sometimes things have to be moved around in order to
Oh,
accommodate.
I remember. Okay. Just because we worked together so long too over the years, I feel like we've been able to discuss, like, I'll be like, okay, if we're moving locations, I want to have a large panel where we see the new location. So don't put too many panels on that page, or... And
you got to have that establishing shot. You've got to have that sort of centers everything else in the page. so that the camera can move around then, because you know where it is.
Yeah, if
So
there's an
I've
establishment
made,
on the page, yeah,
yeah, I've
we
made
can't
like a
key in a
lot of
seventh panel.
requests.
And that just teaches us to be better writers in the medium, right? So I want to hear that. I want to hear like, oh yeah. So next time we do that, Lauren and I can go like, oh, one panel, 3 words, 5 words, on to the next.
Yeah, you've also got to think about, things like if there's 2 characters talking,
Right.
the order in which they talk, because you can't turn the camera around 180
Mhm.
degrees. It's like you just
Right.
can't do it. It ruins the whole flow of things. So that, person on the left, person on the right, you can't cross the balloons or things like that. Yeah. It's a
Yeah,
bunch of skills.
yeah, and I'll say like sometimes, well, there are a couple things. Like one is sometimes we'll put in like sort of like flexy stuff in the script where we're like possibly off panel, like maybe this character is in the panel, but maybe this character isn't in the panel. And a lot of times we also just like give Katie acting notes a lot of the times. Like we don't necessarily like tell her like what
Right.
expression is on a character's face. We're just
Right.
like, like this character is feeling guilty.
Yeah. Right.
And so Katie gets to decide like how she's going to interpret that. She is the actor of all of the characters.
Yes. Actually,
Yeah,
yes.
that part's really fun for me.
And so how, when you're kind of doing the work on a page then, Katie, how much time are you kind of putting into flow versus emotion?
Mm. To me, it's hard to separate the two, because I feel like the emotion plays so much into the flow of the comic. Like I'm thinking about towards the end of Agent Cupcake, there's like a really heartfelt conversation with Cupcake and Miguel. And because of the way I wanted the emotion to play, I inserted some panels of just like background elements and not the characters in between their conversation to try to make it slow down. So it's all intertwined in this like super fun and creative way that I really enjoy.
Yeah. That seems like it's kind of a technique out of manga as well, that where you take things that are in the environment to to reinforce what the characters are thinking. I always think about, like a scene in Lone Wolf and Cub where they're
I was just
about to
thinking that.
fight, and then like there'll be a leaf kind of floating down the page slowly while these 2 intense things are coming at each other like that,
Right.
and it changes the emotional hue, I guess, of the story when you do things like that. It's neat. It's something, again, that I think that only comics can do,
Mhm.
because of the way that comics work in time and space. Um, how often do the 3 of you think about the audience's role in the storytelling? And by this, I mean, it strikes me that one of the best parts of comics is that the audience gets to decide what happens, right? My go-to example is always, the Lucy holding the football and Charlie running at it and pulling it away.
Yeah.
But if you actually look at what Schultz drew in all of those cartoons, you never actually see Lucy pull the football away. You see Charlie running, and then you see the football being pulled. So who pulled the football away? The audience did it, right? In their imagination.
Right.
It happens in the gutters. It happens in a space that isn't actually seen, but the audience is the one making that decision. And so do you contemplate that? I mean, I'm sure that Katie definitely contemplates that as the artist. Are you guys contemplating that as writers? I'm
That's a
kind of
good
getting a blank
question.
stare.
That's a great
I don't
question.
know. I'm trying to think to what extent we do that. I mean, I remember doing an exercise at CCA it's called A Trip to the Moon, where you use a bunch of like index cards to describe like a character going to the moon and coming back, and gradually you like take the cards away and see to what extent it changes the story. And certainly sometimes like describing less is more effective. And I don't know. I mean, I do feel like I try not to like over describe, but we're also like, we're always trying to communicate like a lot of information. So that's always really
That's true. That's true. I mean, but we're also readers too. I mean, that's how we got here, right? Is that a writer? I forget who said that, but a writer is a reader moved to emulation. And we're all writers in a sense. Like Katie writes with her, you know, her images. But so I can think we're reading as we're writing. So if maybe we don't explicitly, but I definitely feel the other end of that from behind the writer's side.
I'm thinking of a spot in Agent Cupcake where I was not expecting the way that readers interacted with it, which is the first puzzle or that Miguel has to crack. That's the big page.
Right.
I watched several people read it and stop there, and they were like, I will solve this puzzle before I continue. And when I was drawing it, I never thought for a moment that would happen, because I was like, oh, a few pages later, the answer is there, and you'll learn how it works, so why would you stop? But it was so, I don't know, it was such a cool experience to watch someone, like, stop the story and, like, become Miguel for a moment.
Yeah,
and, like,
participate.
Yeah, and figure it out before moving on. It was, like, it was really cool.
What's funny is I did anticipate that people would do that because I did that.
No idea it was gonna happen.
Stop everything! I must decode this.
I definitely remember like reading like Dash Shaw books. Like I will like stop and be like, "There is a secret code on this page. I must stop and read the secret code." Also, Katie put some things in the background that we don't know about and don't always find until
we find Easter eggs in the book that we are.
So you are definitely thinking about the way that people are interacting with the book.
Yeah. It's neat though, because, you know, other media don't really work like that. Prose can, though that's kind of more formalistic trickery than a normal reading experience. You know, I mean, generally speaking, when you're reading a prose book, you read a chapter all the way through. You don't stop. But it's really normal in comics to go, oh, I'm reading this. Let me go back 6 pages and reread that section again. That's really common to do in comics. And you don't see that very often happening in prose. You certainly almost never see it in you know, like a movie or a cartoon or something like that, because time is happening at 24 frames per second. And that's just how it works, you know?
It's funny though, because I feel like now that we all have access to the pause button, I feel like in some TVs are more emulating comics in that regard, where they're like, this is like a gag for the pause button, because they are now, like, expecting people to like read a TV episode way more like they would read a comic book. But yeah, I think it's definitely like a thing that comes out of comics that is now like being more and more applied to television.
That's one of the things I love the most about comics myself. So were there things, well, you already talked a little bit about this, Katie, that you would condense and combine and move things around spatially. Was there anything that you hit in the script that you're like, oh, I've got to completely break this apart and completely change it? Or was it just small changes, like, here they have 2 panels, I think it works better as 1, or there's only 1 panel here and I need 3 to show the action?
There really isn't anything major. The most I can think of is, I think there's 1 page that I broke into 2. The book is 1 page longer than it was meant to be.
That's right.
But even that is not a huge change when you think of like the 170 some odd pages.
Sure. Yeah. Very good. Let's see. So the lettering and flatting was not you guys. Was there anything in the lettering that once you saw how the letters were actually on the page that you went, I need to change what's being said or the number of balloons or something like that?
Poor Crank.
I know.
We put Crank through their paces. So when we were originally conceiving of the book, we thought that the lettering was going to be in all caps. And when we thought that the lettering was going to be in all caps, the character Howie the Dragon, we wanted him to we wanted to contrast like his big body with his like very like quiet personality, like that like he presents this like very quiet persona to the world. And so we had this idea that he was going to speak in all lowercase. And so everybody else was going to be all caps and he was going to be all lowercase. And now it turns out that the convention for middle grade books is to move more towards mixed case for lettering. And so we were like, oh, what are we going to do? And so we had Crank try like a bunch of different things. And so we tried all lowercase. We tried graying out the lettering. We tried making the lettering smaller. We tried all of these things. And I don't even remember what we ended up. Did we just
Should I
throw
grab a
out
book?
the
I kind
entire
of feel
thing?
like, like what happened? I'm like, what
I
happened?
think it might just be normal.
Yeah, I think
might
it might
be
be
normal
normal
now.
too. Hold on, let me.
But I really appreciate that they were willing to try so many different ways of trying to convey
Yeah,
what was
just
happening with the
normal.
lettering. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like
pride.
Yeah. Yeah.
a difficult but I think important part of comics is because especially like graphic novels is a big multi-year project. Being able to let go of ideas you had initially that end up not working in the end product. Because I feel like if we went with one of the other options, we could all tell that it wasn't working as well. So it was the right decision to just leave that detail out. But in the moment, it's like, no, this was my most precious idea. I can't let it go.
Right.
I think that's a good example of like considering the reader, because we were trying all these ideas because we were like, we really want to convey like this thing in this visual way, but it was just confusing to the reader. And we just like ultimately like we don't want to confuse the reader, and that's the most important thing, is just not confusing the reader and not making like the reading experience unpleasant. I think we've all had experiences with comics where somebody's trying to do something clever and it's just like, this is so much harder to read now. And we really wanted to avoid that.
Yeah. It's also the case, I think we have to trust the reader to kind of at that point know what we're trying to convey and Howie's personality. And I think that comes through.
Yeah.
And our readers are smart.
Are you thinking, are you writing for yourselves, or are you super conscious that you've got 8 to 12-year-olds writing it and that you're changing some of the language or some of the ways you might communicate an idea to be for that 8 to 12-year-old?
First draft, we're definitely writing for ourselves.
Yeah. Let's be real. Let's be honest. Right.
Yeah. And some things get changed as things go along. So for example, in the first draft of Agent Cupcake, the unicorns were way meaner. Like they were they were unicorn supremacists. They were just jerks. And we thought it was hilarious. We thought it was so funny. And Grace came in and was like, no. No. And we were like, yeah, no, we get it. You're right. You're right. The unicorn should not be this mean. And so in subsequent drafts, we're definitely more conscious of who our readers are and the fact that they are not snarky adults. Yeah.
In terms of lettering, There's not a lot of onomatopoeia in the book, but there's a couple. There's a, click, click, clunk, things like that. Katie, are those hand-drawn onomatopoeia, or are those done by the lettering team?
Yeah, those are all hand drawn by me. I made the decision a while back that I wanted to do all my sound effects, because I feel like uh, the way that my style is, it looks a little, it contrasts weirdly with digitally, like just font um, sound effects. It doesn't like meld into the work as well as I'd like. And it's really nice to have that little bit of hand-drawn touch, I think. Because in an ideal world, I would be hand doing the lettering myself by hand, because I always think about um, Mobius said something about it, that everything on the page should be following like your specific artistic vision, and if someone else letters, like, it's not going to flow as perfectly as it could. And I love that thought, but also uh you gotta
You have a
have
life.
time.
Yeah.
There's not time.
Yeah, you have to have a life, and that's okay.
But to have this, like, one thing, the sound effects, is really fun, especially because then I can have them interact with things that are going on as well. Like, I definitely do a lot of sound effects, like going behind objects or around objects in a way that I think for a letterer would be way too much to expect them to have to deal with.
I agree. How about the in the coloring process? Are you giving notes to the colorist of what you envision Katie on the page, or are you just trusting them to get it right?
So for the flatting, because we used a flatter and then I did the final coloring. So I had colored a few pages for the pitch, and I didn't realize that Oni provided them to the flatter, and it was really cool to get flats back and realize that they had taken a lot of information from that. So while I did change colors a lot, things like a lot of the characters and sometimes just like background colors, uh I would just keep the way that they were and maybe just add like gradients or like small details instead of super changing them, which is really cool to see.
Is there any part of you that is frustrated is probably the wrong word, but of giving up that level of control, I suppose, because it is ultimately part of your art, right? How the lettering and how the coloring interacts with your actual line.
Lettering is harder uh because I feel like it can have such a great effect on the look of the book. Um, Flatting is easier for me because I go in and change so much of it. Debbie and Pearl was colored by my friend Brittany, and not by me, and that was really difficult, even though we have kind of similar styles and we get along really well, great friends. It's just difficult to not want to like go in and noodle and like change everything to how it was in my brain. Um, so it was really fun in Agent Cupcake to have more control that way. Because in this case, I built palettes for every different like location in the book, um, which I haven't done before, and uh, it was really fun to try to build those like changes. So when you're moving location, you're seeing even in the colors like something is changing, so your mind is like ready for this new area.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense.
But
What,
also, sorry, I just wanted to add
please
one more thing.
add
Part of
five more
making
things.
comics, especially in a collaborative way, because when I started out, I did everything myself, and I said I will never. Uh, I'm always gonna do everything myself. This is the way it is. Uh, And I've so enjoyed learning to be more collaborative. I think it's made my work better, and it's made the entire process more enjoyable because it's less. Comics can be so isolating. It's really cool to be working with a larger team and to always be like bouncing off and having fun, and like in the hard moments, like there's people there to talk to.
Yeah.
So it's been really cool to let go of it and share the workload.
You were talking about having a regular day job in addition to doing the comics. How many hours a day, Katie, are you able to draw the comics portion of it? Typically.
Yeah, so I work 4 days a week for 8 hours. So those days I'm doing minimal comic stuff, usually like a couple hours in the evening maybe. So that leaves Saturday, Sunday, and Monday are my like main comics days. Yeah. Trying to fit it all in is tricky.
Yeah. On the 4 days where you've got normal work and you can really only work 2 or 3 hours a night, let's just pretend.
Yeah.
Are those days that you're more concentrating on kind of doing layouts and doing sort of that top level thing as opposed to the actual rendering of a page?
So I do everything in stages. So I will be doing all of the roughs, and then when they're done, all of the pencils, and then when that's done, moving on. So, depending on what stage I'm in, that's just what I'm doing all of the time. But I do break it up. And the way I'm thinking about it is at some point in time, I was like, oh, you don't have to draw every single page in the order it's in the script. Like, it's helpful to kind of stay in a certain order to keep track of everything, but you could, like, skip ahead a couple pages. So I'll usually break it up by difficulty. So I will save pages that have, like, really complicated backgrounds or new areas that maybe I haven't figured out the layout or the design of stuff yet. I will save that for days when I have, like, a full day. I can wake up, get super raring to go, and on days where I'm working my day job, I will do like pages where characters are having just like a back and forth conversation. Those are often really relaxing pages. And for me, roughs are by far the most taxing part. So by the time I'm into pencils, and especially inking, like anything is fair game. It's very relaxing to me. So I'll put on like a show or a podcast and I'll just like go into the flow.
Makes a lot of sense. I was talking to Dan Clowes for one of these interviews, and he told me that he literally would start at page 1, do all the breakdowns all the way to page 356, I think was the length of that particular book.
Oof.
And then he would go back to the beginning and start penciling from page 1 all the way to 356. And then he would go back to the beginning and do the lettering all the way through, and then go back to the beginning and do all the inking all the way through. And I, as a human, I couldn't figure out how that didn't drive one insane, you know?
It
You're like,
is
this
a
is the
lot.
5th time I'm doing this page, you know. Wow. It's always
Yeah.
fascinating to me listening to artists describe how they work, because very, very, very few people do it in like that kind of a regimented march of a manner, and are much more like you going, today I feel like drawing this, so I'm going to work on these pages, you know.
Yeah. Well, because our editor looks at every stage of the book, I am doing all of the roughs, all of the pencils in separate blocks.
Right.
It's just that I might move around which specific page I'm working on.
Yeah. I'm assuming that that once you start getting into the drawing stages, that the editorial notes rapidly decrease.
Yes.
Yeah. That there's very little redrawing that you need to do at a certain point. Yeah.
That is the hope for sure. I was, I think, quite successful this time around. I didn't have to change very much by the time we were inking.
Nice.
That's also the hope in the back of my mind. I'm like, please, no changes now.
Katie also does very legible roughs, so it's
Yes.
easier for those notes to happen earlier in the process.
Mm-hmm.
I get grumpy about having to change things, so when I do roughs, they are quite tight, and also I put lettering in even if I'm not the letterer, which does take some time, but I feel like it's so helpful.
Yeah. Well, so you can see
'Cause-
how the panel is balanced, right? Like,
Mhm.
doesn't have too many words in it, or there's enough space to get the idea across, or, oh no, I've got to actually break this into 2 panels because of the amount of verbiage that has to happen, Yeah.
Yeah, and then when the roughs are done, you can sit and read the whole book, which is super helpful.
Yeah. I imagine. Well, okay, I have some, or at least I have one member of the club who has sent us in some questions. This is an email from the mom, Ashley. Hi, Ashley. And this is for Nico. And Ashley writes, my son Nico is 8 years old and just received Agent Cupcake today and has already read the entire book.
Yes.
I kind of love that.
Awesome.
I love it. We love it.
He loves reading and writing comic books. It's truly all he does. So his questions for the team are, what age were you when you first started writing your own comics? Or drawing, in your case, Katie.
Oh, so when I was, I couldn't even tell you, maybe 4 or 5. I didn't make comics, but I started dictating children's books to my mom, so I would make them up and she would write the prose for me down, and then I would go in and I would draw the illustrations. So the concept started very early for me, and then as soon as I started reading more comics, I was like, oh, interesting, so cool. But it honestly wasn't until college that I really figured out that, like, oh, if I put my mind to it, I can complete like a whole story and I can print it out and I can sell it to people. This is so cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Mel and Lauren, when did you guys start writing for the first time?
Go ahead, Lauren.
Okay, so I think I thought that I had started writing comics maybe like in my late 20s, early 30s. But I have uncovered some archives that suggest that that's not the case. When we were cleaning out my mom's house when she was moving, I definitely found some comics that I made as a teenager. There were not like a lot of comics for kids when I was a kid. There were not even like a lot of books for like that kind of bridge age group. I read a lot of these like big fat fantasy novels. I read a lot of Dragonlance as a kid, and definitely like tried to make comics that were on a similar theme. But then definitely like when I was a teenager and there was more like manga coming into the country, I tried to draw that when I was in high school.
Nice.
For me, the very short answer is I started writing comics when I was 43.
Nice.
Again, the comics baby. But then I looked back also in archives, Lauren, and when I was at my parents' house the last time, I'm like, oh my God, I tried to write a comic strip in high school for our high school paper. And I'm like, oh my, it was like making fun of her.
I didn't know this.
I didn't either. I forgot because I like, you get to 40 plus and you're like, I forgot what I did when I was a kid, apparently. But yeah, I was in Catholic high school, and so I wrote a little comic strip making fun of our dress code. And I didn't realize I had done that. I should pull it out. I forgot to bring it home, guys. I'll find it and I'll bring it home.
I was gonna say, I need to see
yes,
this.
yeah. But I know it's pretty funny. But I started writing stories, and I was maybe 11 or 12. And again, a writer, read all the time. Would come home from the library with stacks of books. I did read comics as well as a kid. I was like, watched way too much TV, so I was always kind of taking in narrative. So it doesn't surprise me that I would, between like TV and like books, here I am. with two of my favorite comic makers of all time working with them. So I'm very, very fortunate.
Love her.
Yeah.
Nika's next question. What made you want to become a professional comic book writer?
It happened. I fell into it. That's my short answer. It found me.
So I was working as a professional blogger for a while. I worked for IO9, which still kind of exists, but was different when I was working there. And I was writing a lot about comics. And then the California College of the Arts launched a comics master's program. And so people I knew were running that program. And so I applied and started going to school for comics.
Yay!
And started making comics. It was
Sense.
yeah.
And
I
Katie,
always
what made you
knew-
want to
Oh.
do this for a living?
Yeah. I always wanted to do something artistic with drawing, and I went to school for illustration. So I originally thought that I would do like editorial illustrations or children's books or something like that. And I took one comic class with Dan Cooney, and it changed things so much. Like, I have always loved comics, but I never really considered a career making them. But suddenly, just like working on them, I found out about the Alternative Press Expo, which was a show where you could go and sell your comics that you made, and you could also see like what all of these other people were making, and just seeing these people that just in their home, maybe going to like a copy shop to print their comics, just everything they were doing. I was so inspired to keep going, and yeah, that was the start of all of it.
Love it. I love it. Nika's got one last question here, which is, if you had to pick only one, what was your favorite comic book when you were growing up?
Sailor Moon.
Wow, wait, really?
That was quick. Wow.
Well, there, like I said, there weren't that many comics for kids, and so I didn't read a ton of comics growing up. And then when I was in high school, there was the Sailor Moon TV show, and then I was in like an off-campus program in DC. And a friend of mine and we got like a per diem, and we would go and we would use our per diem to buy Sailor Moon volumes at the comic book store.
That's awesome.
I love that.
Sailor Moon's
Yeah.
worth it.
Yeah, so we would eat very cheaply, and then we would just buy comics with our food money.
That's amazing.
How about you, Mel? What was the first one you remember?
My gosh, I'm going to count growing up at a little extended past childhood. So I started reading Linda Berry when she was publishing in the East Bay Guardian, the Bay Guardian, or both those, East Bay Express, excuse me. And I remember thinking, like, this is incredible, like how what she can convey in 4 panels, just so masterful. And I just consider her an influence. Yeah.
Katie?
It is so hard to pick just one. So I'm cheating and I'm gonna pick 2.
That's
My
fair.
favorite comic strip growing up was Calvin and Hobbes.
Of course.
For a while, I definitely was making a knockoff Calvin and Hobbes comic strip with a girl that looks suspiciously like Calvin, but with longer hair. Not because I was tracing strips, definitely not.
It's okay.
And then once I got a little older and I was a teenager, I got more into manga, and my favorite comic ever is called Battle Angel Alita. And it just is also probably a large reason that I make comics now. It just totally changed everything about what I thought a comic could be.
It's great when you encounter those things and like that door opens up. You start thinking about it differently because of it. I love those feelings. Yeah, very much so. Finally here on this one, Ashley's husband Andrew was hoping to ask a question too.
Okay.
I guess we'll allow it.
You're a
His
grown-up.
question is maybe too broad of a question, but Andrew's question is how do you come up with ideas for your stories?
I would say by living and just talking it out and being around each other. I mean, I think as a creative, you're always kind of like boop, 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 in your head. It's kind of hard to separate after a while. So I don't know, Lauren, Katie.
We read a lot of nonfiction too.
Yes.
And sometimes we'll say like, oh, this is like a really cool thing. And how are we going to incorporate this into our comic? And so a lot of times it'll just be like a piece of technology or like a little like real life story of something that like really happened to somebody. And then we try to like structure like something around that. And I don't know, that's been really helpful for us just in terms of like coming up with ideas and then sort of like coming up with like a story structure like around those ideas.
Yeah, it definitely has a lot to do with just voraciously reading other comics and shows and understanding your own taste and what you like. Also, a lot of things from my childhood, I think, find their way into my work. I feel like often I'm trying to be the artist that my younger self wanted to exist. And a lot of the times when I'm down on myself, I think a lot about like what that person, how they would feel about the stuff that I'm able to make now. So I'm drawing for Tiny Me often.
Do you think that she'd be
Maybe
happy?
Katie.
I think so. I think she would be very happy.
Yeah. No, that's perfect. I love that. All right. I have got one last not programmed question, and it's this. You guys are wearing matching sweaters?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are these like Agent Cupcakes? Well, what's going on here?
This is a direct result of like constantly talking about, hey, these sweaters are cute. Should we get these? They're our colors. Buy me one.
I mean,
yeah.
I feel like we have to back up even further to the point
yes.
that at some time we were like, our team is called Triple Dream Comics.
That's true.
We have a name now. We're a comic making team.
So we're a studio.
I got way too excited and I was like, I'm making logos.
Should we show them our tattoo? Yeah, we went hard.
And,
yeah.
So
I can't do it. It's hard to like. This is our
matching.
We went.
Triple
Brian,
Dream
we went
tattoos.
further than that. It's not even a. It's not even a team jacket. But see how the different ice creams. Like I'm purple, so I'm on top, and on Lauren's the teal is on. And first, Katie is pink, and so her scoop is on top.
Yeah, I have the pink on top.
Yeah.
Wow.
And at one point in time, we found these awesome sweaters by
Snow Lattes. Snow Lattes, yeah.
And they came in just these 3 specific colors, and we were like, yes. And they have become basically our uniform at this point.
I love it. That's adorable. I'm really glad that I noticed this and got the story.
Yeah. You weren't crazy. You are wearing a similar shirt.
And it's something that's also awesome about being on our team is that I have, because color specifically is such an important part of my work, my life has always been quite color-coded, but I really enjoy that it has leaked into the other 2.
Yes, I have a little earring here, exactly. Yeah. Left to my own devices, I'd be wearing black and gray all the time. They know that. But you know what? Now I'm just surrounding myself with shades of purple, and I'm totally good with it.
Love it. I love it. All right. So the final 2 questions are like the first question. Are common to every show. The first of the 2 is what's next? You guys, I mean, you're a studio, you're a team, you work together. Do you have the next book that you want to make? Have you figured it out, or Still building it? Is it going to be another 7 years, I guess, is part of my question.
We hope not. I mean, what can we talk about? We have a vault of things that we work on, and sometimes we'll be like, "Hey, this reminds me of this. This would be great for that story." And what if we? So we're always constantly
I think we can
checking
talk
in.
about the puppies.
Yeah.
We can talk about the puppies. That's right.
So we're working on a shorter comic right now called Puppy Lawyer about a universe of all dogs and a very cute doggo who becomes her school's student lawyer. And it's very silly and very fun.
But also educational, because you learn
Yes.
just a little bit about constitutional law.
Partially inspired by Lauren almost being a lawyer.
Yes. She has a JD. We talked about it. She does not practice, but
I didn't say you dropped out this time.
Yeah.
Because you did that.
I did not drop out.
I definitely contact Lauren for legal advice once in a while.
Ask me for legal advice.
Or fact checking, because she's a great researcher. So that's another asset of having been a law student.
But yeah, Puppy Lawyer is coming out in a kids comics magazine that I believe as of like 2 seconds ago is called Bangarang.
I think it's
Am
right.
I right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So look out for Bangarang and Puppy Lawyer.
Cute.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
So it's like 8 or 10 page stories in this magazine, something like that?
4 pages?
So it's
4 pages,
serialized.
okay.
Yeah. So it's in 4-page installments.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Is this something that'll be coming out theoretically monthly or quarterly or something?
I think it's monthly.
I don't know if it's monthly or quarterly.
Our deadlines were monthly, but that's why I'm thinking it's monthly.
I think the goal is monthly.
Yes.
Nice.
But it's a younger crowd.
Do you think that you'll have enough at the end to collect it in some format, like even if it's just a 32-page comic or something?
Yeah, I think the goal is that eventually contract, there's like a period of time that we have to wait, but once that has ended, we will collect it into like a single issue at least. Yeah.
Neat.
Yeah.
Neat.
It's also it's also a slightly younger readership. I think it's like, yeah.
Because you can't get them started early enough on constitutional law, right?
I feel like the sooner the better at this point. Yeah.
Right now.
Quite
Right now,
relevant.
yeah.
Start now. As soon as they can start reading, pick up that book on tort law.
Yeah.
As read by a puppy. We also have other things that we're looking at. We have a YA idea we're kind of brewing, and we have done an informational comic, educational comics technically for adults that were in the nib. So yeah, we always have a little bit of something in the.
I have also enjoyed just doing small mini comic related projects since it isn't Cupcake. It's wonderful to complete a comic in like a few weeks.
Yeah. Instead of years. Yes.
So I've been really enjoying that.
Intensely. Yeah. Cool. All right. And then the last question, as I say, I start and end always the same. Because this is a series of interviews, we've been doing 2 a month for 10 years now. I mean, we're at this is like interview 250 or something like that. It's kind of insane when you think about it. And so there's a lot of people who watch these who want to make their own comics, right? And one of the things I hear very often is, I want to make comics, but I don't think I'm good enough, or I don't think my ideas are smart enough, or, just a lot of that kind of imposter syndrome that people get, like, that self-doubt. So what might be the piece of advice that each of you would give a young person who wants to use comics to express themselves? It doesn't even have to be comics, honestly. It can be any kind of a creative expression. But doubts themselves, and this can be a practical kind of an answer. It can be an emotional one, or a spiritual one, or an intellectual one. But I'd love to hear what your piece of advice might be for that aspiring creator out.
Make bad comics.
How you learn.
It's right.
Yes.
You have to make bad comics. We have all made bad comics. It is an essential part of the process.
All right.
It's definitely something so near and dear to my heart is just trying to inspire people to give it a try, no matter how you feel about your skills. One of the things that I think is so magical about comics is that it's not always about who is the best, like, draftsman or artist.
Uh-huh.
It's about the way you communicate your ideas, uh, that makes for a cool comic. And one of the things that's fun about making comics is that it is really difficult, but it's something that you can learn like a new little thing about every time you try working on one. And it's just a constant process of learning new and cool things that you can do, that you can just endlessly grow from. And yeah.
Pretty sweet answer. I like that.
Yeah.
Miguel has a moment of something like that in Agent Cupcake, where he's worried about if he's going to be good enough at his job. Is he going to live up to the expectations of other people? And Director Sturgeon says that you have to give yourself time, and you kind of have to start, no matter, all that aside. The only way you're going to become better is to just begin. I think that's definitely something I'm still trying to do.
Love it. I love it. Those are great answers, and I thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you guys taking the time to talk to us today. And as I say, I hope it's not another 7 years before we have the opportunity to do this again.
We don't think so, but thank you for inviting us back, and hopefully we'll see you in maybe 3.
Yeah, you guys are a joy to talk to, so that's
you're great.
And you make fun comics too, so
thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate you, Brian.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you. All right. Chill for a second here. Let me personally address the camera, and it's not going to a 1 on me right now, but we'll pretend that I'm alone on the screen. And I want to do a couple of say a couple things. So first off, hey, you at home. Hey, you doing okay? Is everything okay? Yeah. It's a hard time right now, I know, and there's a lot of complex things going on. But sometimes having a good book and can really change your life and make you happier and make you joyful. And to that end, I strongly recommend that you get and read a copy of Agent Cupcake. It's a lot of fun. It's got some great comedy in it. It's got some great action and adventure in it. It's just a load of fun, and you're really, really, really going to like Agent Cupcake. So get a copy of it. You can certainly get a copy from us. There'll be a thing at the bottom of the screen that you can go and order it from us, yada, yada, yada. But if you don't want to come and buy it from us, get it from your local comic shop, or even go to the library and get it. The library is the greatest thing in the universe. And they give you books for free. I mean, you have to bring them back, but they're fantastic. And you should absolutely do that. So go get a copy of Agent Cupcake. You're really, really going to enjoy it. The next show we've got coming up, it's the adult show, but we're talking to Eric Powell about The Goon, which is a really fun might not be the right word, but he's quite a good cartoonist and quite an interesting character, I think. So that look for that interview in a couple of weeks. And then the next Kids Club, we will be talking to Judd Winnick, who has got a new Hilo book called The Mighty, where he's introducing a new character, and so that's going to be pretty exciting. And Judd's a real pip to talk to, so keep a lookout for that. I got a couple thank yous I want to make. First and foremost, I want to thank my producer, who's also my son, but Ben Friedman Hibbs. Thank you so much for doing the backstage stuff that none of you in the audience ever see, but we wouldn't have a show if there wasn't someone there taking care of the backstage for us. So thank you, Ben. I want to thank my staff. I want to thank Katie and Kipling and Jordan and Charlie. I've got a great staff of people who really allow me to be able to sit and have these kinds of conversations with creators. They do a lot of the work that just gives me the freedom to do this, and it is one of my greatest joys is talking to cartoonists. And so thank them all for that. I want to thank all of you people who are subscribers and members of of these videos. You can certainly like the thing, and you'll get these all the time. And also people who are members of the club. If you have not joined, please consider joining, and you get a new book every single month in addition to these interviews. And it helps keep what I think is a really terrific comic shop alive and thriving. And then last but absolutely not least, I need to thank all the creators in the world who let me have a life where I can sit and think about comics all day long, and I can sell comics all day long. If it wasn't for creators, much like these three right here, I would be sitting in a store that would have blank pages. And while we certainly need stationery stores, those are important, I much prefer having a store full of dreams and wonderful dreams like Agent Cupcake here. So thank you three for making comics
thank you.
and letting us do this, because we couldn't do it without you.
Oh, thank
That's
you.
sweet.
I don't know what to say. I'm like getting teary. I'm like, oh, my lashes are gonna fall. Thank you. We thank you.
It's my absolute pleasure. With that, I want to say thank all of you one more time for watching these shows, and we will see you next time. Take care. Bye. Thank you for watching this episode of the Graphic Novel of the Month Club. If you enjoyed what you were watching, please subscribe and hit that bell up in the top corner. If you enjoyed the books that we're talking about and the creators that we're talking to, every month we pick a brand new book. The staff votes on it. It's a program that helps keep our store alive, and we'd love to have you as a member. You'll get a new book every month. Just follow that URL at the bottom of the screen.